Let's welcome Bhavani. So I'm adding Bhavani to the stage. Hi Bhavani, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good and happy to meet you all. And I'm going to present now. Okay.
Thank you. So over to you, Bhavani. So your stage is now is in your hand. Happy Testers Day.
Thank you for joining us. And I am Bhavani. I started my career in testing, and then I have moved to product management. And still, always I am uh, participant of testing communities. So glad to meet you all at this event. I am Bhavani, the Director of Product Management at QA Touch. Wishing the entire QA Touch community a very happy Testers Day. Thank you for joining me for this session. Prompt to test AI driven API automation. Next, we will see the presentation outline. We are going to see brief about API testing. Why does API testing matter? Our journey with the API testing, how we leveraged our internal AI agent for API testing, and finally, the key takeaways. API testing is a software testing technique that confirms whether the API is working as expected. It focuses on software functionality and behavior. Unlike traditional testing methods, which focus on the GUI, API testing targets the business logic layer of the software architecture. In API testing, requests are sent to the server and responses are analyzed and verified to determine whether they are correct. Businesses use API testing to check for security vulnerabilities, performance issues, and other potential bugs. And feel free to comment how many of you are working on API testing so that it will be good to know for me. Next, we will see a small statistics about API testing. According to the state of API in 2024, a survey was conducted by Postman. 74% of respondents are API first in 2024, up from 66% in 2023. The shift is happening from code first to API first. Next, we will see why does API testing matters. To make it easier to understand, I am sharing the real-time incident about the importance of API testing. How many of you are using UPI? UPI is a disruption in digital payments, right? It is integrated with our daily life. We tap and make payments everywhere, from the street vendor to big malls. If some of you from other countries don't know about UPI means, it is the payment wallet like GPay and Apple Pay. So, but do you remember the digital payment method UPI crashed in April 2025? It left the public stranded and helpless in malls, restaurants, and in other places. Another lesser known but impactful reason is the lack of rate limits in transaction status checks. For instance, in April 2025, banks executed excessive status checks, flooding the UPI network and caused an effective self-inflicted denial of service attack. API testing helps to prevent such failures by ensuring APIs function correctly before they reach production. APIs are the backbone of modern applications. They connect services, enable features, and allow systems to communicate with each other. When API endpoints break, entire applications can crash. Next, we will see how you can interact with the API. To interact with the API, you must send HTTP requests to the API endpoints. For instance, in an API testing tool, you can configure the request method, get, post, put and delete, set headers and include request bodies. Parameterizing tests, you must also configure the test with different input values. This helps ensures that the API can handle a variety of inputs correctly. You must also ensure that the tests include the necessary authentication steps, including OAuth tokens, API keys, or basic authentication headers. Next, we will see how to validate the test result. Finally, examine the API responses to ensure they meet the expected results, such as verify that the API returns the correct HTTP status codes, check the content of the response body for accuracy. Validate the response headers contain the expected values and properties. Once you have the results, you can capture detailed logs of the test execution, including both request and response details. This will be beneficial during debugging, providing a clear record of what was tested. Ensure you have a process for documenting and handling errors and exceptions of if the test fails due to bugs or issues. Next, we will see about the challenges of API testing. If API testing is so important, why is still a challenge? Writing API tests requires technical knowledge, making it hard for new testers to ramp up. APIs change frequently, and updating test scripts is a constant struggle. Testing different versions of an API and ensuring backward compatibility can be complex. We must implement versioning strategies and maintain separate test suites for each API version. When a piece of code is wrongly defined, it leads to an errant entry which can cause functionality issues. Sometimes the written scripts are prone to mistakes, leading to incomplete or inaccurate test coverage. These challenges slow testing, impact release schedules, and increase the risk of defects reaching production. Next, we will see about our journey with API testing. In our team, API testing used to be a regular, comprehensive journey. We would get the API endpoints from the backend team, and that was just the beginning. Someone had to sit down and review the endpoints, understand the data flows, and prepare a test strategy. Then we would design the test framework, write the test scripts, review each other's work, execute the test, and finally review the results. Next, we will see how we brainstormed. During our brainstorming on the API testing workflow, we identified several key challenges that impact our daily work. One recurring issue is the inconsistency in API responses during the early development cycles, which leads to delays and unnecessary troubleshooting. The absence of clear and stable API contracts often confuses, resulting in rework and misaligned expectations between teams. Additionally, maintaining stable and reusable test data across different environments remains a struggle, and debugging test failures is often time consuming due to unclear logs and flaky test setups. We also reviewed our current testing frameworks. While the existing tools are useful for quick validations, we have transitioned towards more robust solutions such as REST assured that integrate better with pipelines and support deeper validations. Marking tools like Wiremark are being introduced to simulate dependencies and allow earlier and more isolated testing. We also align assertion libraries and test reporting tools to ensure that results were easier to interpret and debug. The primary focus area was onboarding and training. New team members often face a steep learning curve, particularly in understanding the layered architecture of our APIs and underlying business logic. To support them, we have started offering pairing sessions, created quick start guides covering authentication flows and endpoint conventions, and provided sandbox environments where they can experiment without impacting any production data. To maintain delivery speed without compromising quality, we have implemented a layered, that is a tiered testing strategy. Lightweight smoke tests are triggered on every pull request to catch high level issues quickly. More comprehensive regression tests are run during nightly builds or before code is pushed to staging. We also have a system in place to quickly flag unstable or flaky tests so they don't block the deployment pipeline. Constant communication with developers helps clarify requirements early and ensure edge cases are considered during test design. At some point, out of sheer frustration, I remember saying to myself, there has to be a better way. Why can't we just describe what we want to be tested and let something else do the heavy lifting? That's when the idea started brewing. Could AI help? Could we build something that would simplify all of this, not replace testers, but empower them? Next, we will see our transformation journey. The existing process worked, but let us be frank, it took time, especially when a new person joined the team. When Malar, a new tester, joined our QA team, she was excited, sharp, curious, and ready to help. But after day one, it was clear our setup was not simple. We had a framework that worked, but it took time to understand. Naming patterns, folder structures, and custom test hooks all made sense once you knew it. But getting there, that took days, sometimes weeks. I remember her saying, I want to start contributing early, but I am still figure out how this all fits together. That's when we started asking ourselves, what if we didn't make every new joiner climb this hill? What if an assistant could handle the heavy lifting? So we started exploring an idea. Could we give it the API endpoints and the requirements and let it handle the rest? Built the test plan, set up the test suite, wrote the API test scripts, and even showed a clean summary of the test results. The tester's role shifts from writing boilerplate code to reviewing, exploring, and improving quality. Like that, no more boilerplate, no hours lost figuring out where to place what. It's not about removing the tester, but removing the repetitive stuff. So testers can do the work that actually needs thought. We started asking ourselves questions like what if a tester could just say, check that the login API returns 200 for valid credentials and that's it. What if they didn't need to write the single line of code at the start itself? When we first introduced the idea of bringing in an AI assistant for API testing in our internal team meeting, the room got quiet. What will be the first question? Is AI going to replace me? And then one of the team members asked the question. The rest of the team was thinking, wait, is this going to replace what we do? Genuinely, it was a fair question. Change like this can feel heavy, especially when the tool talks about generating scripts and speeding things up. A few heads nodded. Others stayed silent, but the concern was written all over their faces. So we paused. We stepped back and said, this is not about removing testers, it is about removing the things that drain your energy. We explained to the team that all as you know, writing the same authentication test again, copying and pasting payloads, checking response codes manually. This is not where your brain does its best work. The real value testers bring is not in repeating steps, it is in spotting what others miss, asking better questions, and noticing what feels off. That's what this assistant is here to support. It does not think, it does not understand context, it does not care if your flow feels clunky. You do. And we want to give you more space to do that, not less. We said we are not replacing you, we are giving you a jump start so you can do the parts of testing that need you. And that shifted the conversation. Some folks still have questions, that is normal, but now the tone has changed. Curiosity is creeping in because deep down we all want to work smarter and feel like machines doing the same thing over and over. Next question is just use it or learn it. When it comes to AI agents in testing, these two questions always will come. There are multiple scenarios. One of the scenario is you need quick smoke test coverage before the next deployment. You enter the test requirements and the AI generates test scripts. You review, tweak and execute all done in minutes. It is in staging in the during the development of APIs. Why it works? You save time. The assistant does the heavy lifting. You don't need to know how the model works internally. Just validate the output. When learn it matters. The scenario is the AI recommends a test you don't agree with, or it misses a critical edge case, or worse, it generates something that looks right but doesn't test anything meaningful. Why it matters? If you don't understand what it is doing, you might miss uncommon gaps. You don't need to be a data scientist, but you should know how to review, challenge, and guide the AI output. Meet Ali, our internal AI agent. So we built it for our use. A simple internal tool. We called it Ali. We input the API endpoint and select the request type. So a tester enters the test idea and the requirements in plain English. The agent processes the request, interprets the goal, and builds a corresponding API test script for the given details. The tester reviews, refines if needed, and runs it. Suddenly, instead of spending 30 to 40 minutes writing and validating a single script, you are getting a working draft in under a minute. Even better, I wanted to show you the video of that. Now, instead of just talking about this, let me show you how it works. And in the demo, you will see a tester enters the test requirement in plain English with the API endpoints and request type, and then the response data as well as the generated test code. The script can be generated in PyTest as well as in rest assured. In both the languages, it will be done. The example is showing in the get request, and next we are going to see the post request example. Okay, similarly, you can give the test requirement type, like how it should be there and what request type, and the endpoint name we can give it in the API endpoint input. So the script has been generated now, and we can execute the test also from here. The result is shown here. And next, similarly, we can the tester is doing for the put request as well as the patch request example, and the requirements are what are all the things the agent is going to be do, that we can mention in the requirements, the test requirements input. And the generated test script is shown here. You can execute the test. The result is shown here. The summary report is available here. I hope you have seen how our internal AI agent Ali helped in API testing. Okay. Next, we will see what is the impact on our internal AI agent on testers and the team. Easier onboarding for new testers since they don't have to learn complex scripting and the existing framework on day one. Made it easier for newcomers to start contributing right away and learn the deeper skills as they go. It also assists senior testers by saving time on setup, maintenance, and repetitive workflows. Now, instead of spending days learning naming conventions, code structure, Muller could focus on what mattered. The best part, she was writing meaningful feedback within her first 2 days. We didn't remove the tester, we removed the repetitive stuff that held them back. And that shift, it is not the future, it is already happening. With the right tools, that work gets done much faster, saving you hours and keeping the release cycle on track. Less effort on repetitive tasks allowed testers to focus on strategic testing. It gives us back time to focus on tricky edge cases, exploratory testing, and quality conversations that move the product forward. If you wanted to know more about how our internal AI agent works, you can always reach out to us at info@qatouch.com, and you can reach out in our LinkedIn page also. Okay. Next, we will see it helps us expanding ideas of the internal AI agent. It helps us a team to do our work better. We will expand this further based on our team and our product needs. In the future, a few ideas we have it to expand its functionality, identifying and filling the test gaps, and ensuring we cover everything required for the testing. Automatically recommend different combinations of data inputs. We can test how the API handles a huge range of scenarios without us having to manually think of every single one. Keeping tests up to date efficiently and effortlessly. APIs change all the time and broken tests are a headache. We are developing ways for our QA ally to notice when things shift and then help us quickly update our tests, saving tons of time on maintenance, giving the deeper insights into API health. Next, we will see about the traditional versus AI assisted API testing. Changes to APIs require significant manual updates. AI can detect changes and suggest or test updates automatically. Manual testing risks missed assertions, flaws. AI standardizes logic and automates validations to reduce oversight. Deep knowledge of HTTP payloads and tools like Postman or code libraries is needed. AI lowers the barrier by simplifying test creation. Next, we will see what AI can and can't do in testing. AI can generate test scripts from user actions, plain English, or API specs, saving time on boilerplate coding. Identify missing test scenarios by analyzing patterns, usage data, or common edge cases we can often overlook. Assist with API contract validation. Automatically check if responses follow the defined schema. What AI can't do? It can't replace human judgment. It can't weigh trade-offs, customer impact, or product intuition. AI doesn't grasp domain-specific rules, exceptions, or priorities without context. Outputs must still be reviewed, refined, and approved by testers. Think of AI as an assistant, not a replacement. Of course, implementing AI was not without challenges. AI generated tests still require human validation. Edge cases need manual intervention. The model must continuously learn to improve accuracy. AI is a powerful tool, but it requires the right balance between automation and human expertise. Next, we will see the bigger picture of AI in testing. AI is shaping the future of testing. The goal is not to remove testers, but to empower them. Faster, more efficient testing means higher quality software releases. It is about removing the repetitive load so testers can focus on what matters. With AI handling the mundane, testers can be more involved in product thinking and user experience. Faster feedback loops mean bugs get caught earlier, saving time and cost for development teams. AI can help identify gaps in test coverage by analyzing historical defects and user behavior. The best results come when testers and AI work together, each doing what they do best. Next, we will see how you can also start with AI in testing. If you want to explore AI for testing, start small. Start with what slows you down the most. Look at your day to day. What tasks eat up your time but don't need deep thinking. It could be writing similar test scripts over and over or keeping up with changes in the UI. This is your entry point. Pick one tool one goal. Don't try to AI everything in the first shot. Choose one AI powered tool, maybe for test case generation or smart element locators, and give it a real task in a low risk environment. Try it in a safe space first. Use a test project or a staging environment to experiment. This way, you can see what works and what doesn't without stressing about deadlines or releases. Involve your team early in this cycle. Let your testers play with the tool, share their thoughts, and get comfortable. AI in testing is not just a tech shift, it is a mindset shift. Don't expect magic, expect momentum. AI won't solve everything overnight, but if it saves you even 30 minutes a day or highlights a few blind spots, that's already a progress. Keep it practical, not perfect. Focus on value, not novelty. Use AI where it helps, skip it where it adds noise. Look for tools that play nice with your technology stack. You don't need to overhaul your whole setup. Many AI tools plug right into Selenium, Postman, or Cypress or your existing test management system like QA Touch. Stay curious and keep your notes. What surprised you and what annoyed you? Use that feedback to decide what to expand or skip. Share what you learned. Whether in a team retro or writing about your AI experiments builds learning for everyone. Don't forget, keep the human in the loop. AI is there to help, not replace. The best results happen when it supports your thinking, not when it tries to do all the thinking for you. Encourage your team members to work on AI and ML projects, participate in hackathons, and experiment with different tools and techniques. By following these steps, organizations can effectively integrate AI and ML into their testing processes and ensure their teams are well equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge. Next, we will see what is next. We should not stop with learning only. What is the impact of it? We can start with a small initiative within your team for AI and implement what you have learned. Learning by doing will give you an immense knowledge. Next, we will see the summary of the session. Quality is not a bottleneck, it is a shared goal enabled by smarter tools. AI can simplify and accelerate API test automation. AI helps to identify missing test cases and ensures coverage. AI won't replace testers, empowers them. Make AI your ally to do better your work. Happy testing. Do you have any questions? Actually, how would you debug? And thank you for this question, Pradeep. Stabilize on intermittently failing API test in AI powered tools. Yeah, the dynamic data timing issues are actually for this we have to train our model to make it better. Actually, how good is our data? Based on that only the model performs. So it is a continuous work. We are fine tuning it. So that's why we are keeping it as for our internal use to shape it better. And yeah, everything will be failures. Also, we can what we can do is for failures we can give a retry option as well as to debug and analysis. We can over the period of time we will have the data for the training as well as we will be able to review the failures and the patterns matching patterns and we will overcome that.
Awesome. So thank you, Pradeep, for the question. Like any other question, feel free to ping and comment, or else like even you can drop your questions here as well, like info at qatest.com. We will happy to answer all the questions. And yeah, thank you so much, Bhavani. So almost like we at the end of the session. So with the closing note, like we can wind up this great evening. So thanks,
Thank
Bhavani,
you.
for
Thank you, team.
the
Wish you all once more a happy Testers Day.